Uh, Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. My name is Santosh, and I head sales and strategy at SimplAI. I have a couple of my colleagues here along with me. Utkarsh, who heads the product at SimplAI, and Akash Jot, who is part of our GTM team. Today, we dive into what exactly we are building at SimplAI, right? What we do, who we are, what are our capabilities in terms of the agentic AI applications that you can build. And more importantly, you will get to see a live demo of the platform when we build an AI application in real time. And we can also have a Q&A session at the end. So please jot down your questions and put it in the chat so that we can take it at the end. And also as a bonus, we are giving access to the platform, so we'll be floating a form at the end of this webinar where you can actually fill your details and we'll reach out to you for the access to the platform. So let's get started. Akash, if you can project the slide deck, we can get started. Can we put it on full screen? Yeah. So as I said, we have set up the agenda. So I'll quickly go into what is SimplAI? SimplAI is the simplest and fastest platform out there in the market today for building agentic AI applications. We consider ourselves as Lego of AI because essentially we have all the necessary building blocks that typically go in an AI application, and organizations can come to the platform and orchestrate these building blocks in a way to build their end applications. To put it in a more technical and nuanced way, we are an end-to-end agentic AI platform for the complete AI app life cycle, from data processing to model tuning to application orchestration, integration, and monitoring. You find all these things in our platform. And if you see on the left side, that's what you see are basically the building blocks, right? You have the cloud layer, on top of it the foundational layer where you get to have the model discovery. All open source and closed source models are accessible. You can deploy these open source models on the platform. You can fine tune these models as well, right? On top of it is the data integration and the management layer, where an organization can bring all its data in terms of structured, unstructured, can vectorize them, can have SQL databases, relational databases, bringing the all this information into the applications that you're building, on which you actually do the tooling and orchestration. And again, there are various building blocks, right from guardrails to function calling steps to having memory stored in the applications to prompt engineering and tuning how an agent or a workflow should behave, right? And on top of that is where you actually have the applications, right? It can be chatbots, RAG applications, multi-agent systems, etc., right? And it's not just about building these applications but also monitoring them in production. That's where the observability suite that you see on the right hand side corner comes into play, right? We have all the necessary things from tracing to evals and logs already built in the platform. So for any enterprise or organization that comes to the platform, they can actually quickly build a POC and take it to production in the fastest way, and that is actually getting powered by because of the simplicity of the platform, right? So the orchestration that we have on the platform allows you to build either conversational AI, which are your AI employees or agents, or to automate workflows as well, right? Organizations can bring their data directly to the platform. We have 300 plus connectors readily available on the platform, which can connect to a different set of data warehouses, lakes, analytical platforms, your cloud buckets, right? And industry or domain specific SaaS products as well, right? And we also have a complete LLM ops future set where you can connect, deploy, fine tune, and distill the models directly on the platform. And all of this you get in a very intuitive no code, low code experience, and that's where the simplicity of the platform lies. While the platform is being simple and fastest, the core crux is about delivering these applications that you build on the platform in the most secure, scalable, and reliable way. So we are cloud agnostic, right? You can deploy any application that you build on the platform either on AWS, Azure, GCP, or any other hyperscaler. Not just that, you can actually deploy these applications in on-premise as well. And we have all the necessary data authentication and encryptions already built in the platform. As of today, we are SOC 2 and ISO compliant, right? If I have to talk about the scalability of the applications that you build on the platform, you can the applications can handle millions of requests per minute, right? And all these applications have inbuilt memory and caching, and these are optimized for low latency with real time streaming. And the most important part today is any of the AI applications we are building should be reliable and trustworthy. So we have different mechanisms on the platform to ensure the applications that you're building uh, give out reliable results and outputs. For example, you can use RAG systems or fine tune the models to increase the accuracy of the application, or you can use guardrails mechanism to make sure the application adheres to a certain standard that you set. On top of it, we have experimentation frameworks, tracing, and evaluations, which really help in terms of monitoring these applications continuously and improving the outputs of those applications. So, what essentially an organization gets from the platform is they can rapidly execute and accelerate value delivery. Since all the blocks that are available comes in a pre-configured and easy and simpler way, they can easily build an POC within 2 to 5 days. Take it to the larger teams. Probably in a week, they can refine it and uh, make changes in terms of bringing the reliability and the trustworthiness into the system. And since you have all the connectors and integrators live, you can actually integrate directly into the external systems and productize this. All of this generally happens in a month on our platform. In an ideal scenario, if a organization has to do it in-house, it generally takes about 6 months to even build a medium-sized application. And that's the value add we bring to the table by reducing the amount of development time and moving it to production quickly so that they can go to market in a very faster and accelerated way. And these are some of the capabilities that exist on the platform. Today you can use the platform to build any of these applications or a combination of them. If you see, today organizations are focusing a lot on conversational AI, right? It can be in terms of building AI employees, assistants, co-pilots, or multi-agent systems. You can also build agentic RAG by bringing a lot of organization data into the application. It can be in terms of structured or unstructured data. And then you can also build automations via agentic process automation feature set, which is the next level of robotic process automation. So here you can actually sequence and chain things together to execute a workflow in an autonomous and independent way. And then all these applications can also be enabled by voice and vision, right? And beneath this, you can also have future sets related to data extraction and summary, also have hybrid discovery and search enabled for these applications. And this is again a high level overview of what where we are today, right? We are have three offices across India and USA. We are an AI first company, right? And we have close to 20 plus team. We are a 15-month old company, right? And most of the team is predominantly coming from a deep tech space, worked extensively in the AML space. Now what we'll do is we'll quickly go into the platform. We'll give you a live demo of the platform, build an application in real time, and show you the power of the platform in terms of the simplicity and the swiftness in which you can develop these applications. Over to you, Utkarsh. You can start sharing your screen and show the platform and then run them through the application building as well.
For a particular SQL or data analyst agent that we have prepared. And the idea is that after we sort of see what the agent can do, we go into how that was built, how we can further improve it, all the different aspects. So I'll just quickly, move over to showing you what we're talking about here. So there's this data analyst agent, we've created. You sort of see what it can do already. So uh, right, so we've asked sort of a different question. We want to see information specified in a different format. So yeah, yeah. So as we can see, we uh, we got the answer, but let's try pushing it a little bit more. Uh, what is the top product sold uh, and the shippers who sold them the or delivered them the most? Delivered them the most. Let's ask this question. So, what this agent is really doing behind the scenes, and we'll go look it over in a while, is we taking the natural language that is provided, sending it to a tool which then converts it into an SQL query. It's processed a little bit, then runs, gets the answers. The answer isn't processed, sent back to the LM, and it just converts it into a format we wanted and delivers it to us. So here it is. Now let's go and look into how we can go about building it. Oh, by the way, before that, we should go into the data set which we are working with here. So we have this data set of, obviously a fake company, including their orders or details, employees, products, product categories, customers, shippers, suppliers, and we will sort of cater our queries to around the same space. Now, I've not added one of these, the suppliers table to the system already. So let's go ahead and add that. And we'll go over the process of doing that. So you might already see some of the, data presented here already. So I'll just go and create a knowledge base. Now the knowledge base name, is a knowledge base is what we call a, so knowledge base is what we call a database in simple AI, because they sort of work not just as your existing databases. They also support semantic search and other capabilities needed to function well with AI. But in this example today, we would really be dealing with a lot of that. So I'll just go ahead and create our suppliers knowledge base. The name is important because that's what our table's name would be when we select this option, table SQL. So our knowledge base type is really critical to how we do this. We don't want search functionalities, which are types of databases which are very geared towards low latency, while SQL, of course, being flexible and easy to work with. So I'll just import a data set. So I already uploaded all the files needed for this into a data set. I'll just select this one. And now we need to sort of set up the schema for this database we set up. We have an option to enter in descriptions, and we'll go over how this could be useful in setting up your data analyst agent if you need to. So I'll just quickly go over and add descriptions for all of these. Of course, it's a very simple data set, so the descriptions, for the most part, are not that important. Perhaps this field being one example where there might be some confusion the model will have, but uh, for the most part, can figure some of this out. Mm. So we can also modify the data types we can put in for each of the columns. I here, the first column should be an integer, but the others are quite fine with varying character. The other two columns, allow us to create a vector index over one of these columns or do some regular indexing. But in our use case, with the amount of data we're working with, neither are necessary. So we'll just go ahead and add this. So as we can see, the file is added to the knowledge base right now. And now we just need to go ahead and do a couple of things. So we added all of these descriptions, and there was a purpose for that. When we go to the knowledge base details, we can see all of that schema and actually copy it as markdown for our next step, which is telling a model, what information is there in the knowledge base, how it's structured, so that it can write a query. So I already have this tool, built, which is, being used by that agent which we were talking to before. Um, Tools in our, platform is sort of a workflow automation concept with a little twist of AI. It has three primary components: the input section, the user steps, which is where all the transformation and processing happen, and finally the uh, parts of the state that you choose to show as tool output. So here in this case, in this tool, I only have one input. The name is natural language query. The natural language, there's a description natural language query for which the tool will write in an SQL. This description is helpful to ensure that the model can understand what it needs to put here. The name of this variable here, natural language query, is important because that's how we refer to this variable throughout the rest of our system, which we'll go over right now. And that's sort of how we define the inputs. Now, let's go into the LLM call functionality. So this is the first step we have now. We have a number of different steps. And the first of those is this LLM call step, which is where we actually have set up a model to write the query for us, given a natural language query. I've given it a very simple instruction. In an SQL writing agent, you'll receive a natural language query, and you will have to write an SQL query that answers that question. The details of various tables in the database where the query will run are provided below. So, and this is where we, show put in all our various table schemas so that the model knows what it's dealing with. And this is where we paste this schema of the suppliers table we just created. As you can see, this entire thing was pasted as Markdown, which is sort of the format models prefer when dealing with tables. Now, this is the system prompt. This is the instructions that the model will be using. But then, as we mentioned, that it will receive a natural language query, and it will receive that natural language query as part of the prompt. So to that, I've referred to the natural language query variable we had created here in double curly braces, which replaces the value of this variable with this, at runtime. Um, the model we are using here is GPT-4 Mini, but really you could use any model you want, which can write SQL, and maybe even a specialized text to SQL model, which might even be better at this. We don't need to use the response format functionalities as we won't go over those. The answer type is text, which is fine. Now let's just go and run something. So the benefit of uh, having this system of this tools interface is that you can start building your tools, and you can run them step by step to see if each step is working as you're expecting it to, and sort of help you decide what the further steps should be. So in this particular case, I just ran that step. If we Before we go over the answer, this is the prompt. So the prompt field, which had the natural language query variable, which is my question, uh, got replaced, and this is what was sent to the model as prompt. The system prompt being the same as what was shown above. The answer is what the LLM gave us, and I think as we can see, the LLM gave us quite a good query It gave all the details we would want, added a little bit more than what we would need to just run the query. So that's where the next step comes in. We just filter it out. So of course, there's an option where you could try and play around with the prompts and not make the model not answer in a format that cannot really be run as a query. But from our experience, that tends to reduce model performance more than it helps us gain in terms of certainty, because the next set of is pretty much certain to run. And all we do here is we take the portion of this answer that is between the two code blocks that the LLM has put in. You know that there are code blocks here because this entire query is linted. Otherwise, it wouldn't be. And so the code blocks the model obviously uses, because this SQL here is the SQL code blocks were provided by Markdown. And that really helps us, what the model can put in whatever it wants. Above or below this, or even four other types of code, but we only get the SQL part out of that using this single line of code here. And now that our query is ready, so we'll just run this. Yeah, so as you can see, all the linting is gone. We only have, and all the stuff before and after the query is gone. We are just left with the query as it is. And now we move on to running the query itself. So we'll just go ahead and run this. As you can see, I've referred to the output of the Python code here as the input for the query. And here is what the model has come up with as the answer. Now, as you can see, probably, while this is a good enough answer for perhaps a human to just get a easy glance, it's not very easy to look through this, and it's not very token efficient. So sending all of this information in this format would just be a waste of tokens, and also increase the amount of time it takes for the model to respond and everything. So we just go ahead and convert this into a markdown table using another 7 lines of code. We just reference the output we received from the SQL agent here, remove all the other information we don't need, use pandas, it has a built-in functionality to convert a table to markdown, and that's what we're going to do. We just run this, and that's what we get. That's the output for this answer. Now, we don't see the output here because I ran it step by step, but if I go ahead and run this entire tool as a whole, so you can see how sort of the execution happens, the amount of time it takes for the entire execution to run through. And as you can see, I've already referred this Python code underscore one dot result as the output for this tool. So that's how the tool works. And we have successfully added our supplier table in here. So now let's go to the agent. We can ask it a few questions. But just before that, I'll go over the setup of the agent itself. So we setting up an agent, the first thing you need, of course, is a model which can do function calling. So we have GPT-4o here again. It's a very efficient model, but you can use any model which can do function calling, really. And then we have given it base instructions. Again, a very simple prompt. You're a data analyst. You can use a skill writing and learning tool to get answers to natural language queries asked by the user. You do have to sometimes still not write SQL queries, because the models tend to prefer that, to write them themselves. And then we have this tool, SQL writing and learning tool, added here. If I wanted to add another tool, I could just go ahead and do this that way. I would also directly add a knowledge base in here to build a RAG system, completely skipping over the tool step. Just add a document to a knowledge base, put it here, and ask the LLM questions. But that's not a subject for this discussion today. I've also enabled voice configurations, so we could talk to this agent as if we were on a call with it, but again, not part of today's discussion. So we'll just focus on the data analyst part today. So we'll just go ahead and ask a question. Let's ask something related to the suppliers. What are the suppliers that have delivered the best on best selling products? So some of the queries I'm testing here, I've not really tested before. So we'll see if the model can get it right. Okay, what is the name of the supplier? All right. The name of the supplier with the highest supply ID is Sports Cuisine Bills. I am sorry, I cannot pronounce that. So we'll now we'll before we go and see exactly what the agent was doing in this process, maybe we'll take some, or maybe at the end of this call, we'll take some questions that people want to ask this data analyst agent and see, get a feel for how it works that way. Uh, But in the meantime, before that, let's go over and see how the data analyst agent actually works once you put it in live. Also, while we're at it, in the meantime, if you have any questions you'd like to ask data analyst agent, feel free to put them in chat. We'll try to run and see. I'm not certain if those queries will actually work, but try to put in some questions and see. Let's see if the agent can answer those. So we will just go ahead and see what the agent was doing at this point. So this every message we send to the agent is one run. Just to walk you through the how the tracing process works. Every agent you send to a agent is one run or one row here, or one root trace. We send two messages, so that's how we see them here. Every time I run a step in the tool, we can see it here. This is probably the run where we ran the entire tool as a whole. Yes, that it is, and so on. So we'll just go ahead and now look into this, trace. The input that was sent to the agent here was, of course, the chat history and the question I asked at the end. Then what happens when something is sent to the agent? The first thing that happens is it goes to an LLM, GPT-4 Mini in this case. It gets the system prompt. You will see that that wasn't part of the chat history before. It gets rest of the conversation history, and it gets a list of tools that it can use. If we had put a knowledge base here, it would also have been shown up. It would also show up here in tools as well. Then we can see all the description of the tool that it gets, as well as the description of the various inputs the tool accepts. And then we see the query that was sent to the tool here in the arguments, and we can get an even better view of that if we look at this. What is the name of supplier with ID 4? And then we go about doing this. Now, it seems like this tool actually did not work. So the first time around, the model rebelled and did not answer, and naturally, the subsequent step failed. So the model tried the answer again, and this time around, we got the name. How? The question went in, the LLM came up with this answer, it was filtered, ran through the Python code, the SQL agent, got cleaned up as a markdown table, and was sent to the LLM as the result of the tool. As we can see, tool calls, this was the tool call, the output the first time, the second tool call, and the output the second time, which has the answer. And that's when the model responded to us with the answer we wanted. So that's sort of how this agent thinks, how it works. Great. So before we move on, and I hand this over back to Santosh. Any questions folks would like to ask? The data analyst agent we have here, or maybe give it a name. I can't read the chat, so I hope Santosh will let me know. Okay, seems like there are no questions, or maybe there's a lag with the stream here. I'm not sure. We are not really. Okay, I actually can see the read questions. So we just got a question from Shikha. Can we use this in a similar fashion for financial analysis? If the data is available, in a structured format, yes, for sure. If there's a slightly different approach that needs to be taken because the way the data is structured, we could create a tool cater towards it. Maybe it does not even need SQL. Maybe it can, work with simple search queries, or we could even get a LLM to write code in real time and run it in a secure container to try to get that answer. So yes, we you can absolutely use build a similar system for financial analysis as well. Okay, let's see. Can you orchestrate a multi-agent workflow using SimplAI Studio, which helps generate an aggregated report for CXOs in any organization? For sure, you could create a multi-agent workflow that helps you create a aggregated report over a lot of data. In fact, we have worked on very similar use cases, especially when dealing with a lot of large amount of unstructured data. The process generally, we tend to take they could vary a lot, but a common theme we have noticed is we first go around structuring the unstructured data into something that is more easy to work with, maybe even SQL ready, and then we provide that data into a prescribed format for a report, or maybe in a format that is a little bit easier to work with. Let's say give a chatbot to the leadership which they can talk to and ask questions that are not covered in the report. So yeah, we can absolutely do something like that. uh, Thank you, Sugan. Good to hear that it's a great option for enterprises. We definitely do support external data sources for data injection. While we are at it, I'll actually go through and show you guys that. So when you're bringing in data, we can we support a whole host of different connections that can address that. We basically have every single different type of uh, database you might be storing information in, or maybe an enterprise platform where your data resides right now. And you can really set up a sync with the data you have. Let's say in this case Postgres. So you have let's say a number of different databases you have where even within Postgres where data is stored, and you can bring that data in to specific data sets you want, and then going from a data set, you can send that data to a knowledge base. uh, I think you might have even noticed this. There's an auto sync data option which brings in data from a particular data set to the knowledge base. So you can bring in data on Simple AI once, and then create different views of that data as different databases or knowledge bases within Simple AI. So yeah, you can definitely bring in your data. Uh, which was other questions? Do we support NoSQL database for data analytics? Yes, as I mentioned, right, we can work with even unstructured data, let alone NoSQL databases. And the idea behind that being, we want to sort of take away the burden of dealing with data which is unstructured, or in a structure you don't want that. That's not really a problem that we want enterprise to have to deal with anymore. This is a single unified interface where pretty much any sort of data you have can be put in and processed, and be readily available for any task you need. So and while we are at it, when creating a knowledge base, of course you have these search options available to you, which are really NoSQL databases behind the scenes. Yeah. All right. Let's see if we have any other questions. Sama's question, can we give it new data and ask questions? We did give it new data just now and asked questions, but if you further expand upon your question, perhaps we can address that. Is there an estimate of cost for using LLM model for data analyst use case? Uh, This can actually be quite, affordable, but I'll let Santosh address that question. Santosh, are you able to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it all depends on the kind of workflow and the application you're building, right? But what we have done on the platform is make it as transparent as possible. All right. So we have every tracing or the step that goes into the application, and you get to see what's the cost associated with each of the steps. It can be an LLM step, it can be an API call, or it can be a knowledge base call. You get to see all those individual cost parameters directly on the platform. And when you're building the application, you can actually consider these things as well. I think there's another question, Utkarsh, for you. Can we give it new data in chat and ask questions like CSV or SQL file? So to answer that, yeah, we can do that. We have a configuration called upload file, which can be enabled on any agent, and you can upload it and start asking the questions on that particular data file set. Yeah. So as you see on the screen, right, there's a config. It's a small configuration from our end, right? And as you see, the platform is all low code, no code. So it makes the life of a developer or a data scientist very easy in terms of experimenting and building all these features. I think there are no more questions. We'll just wait for a minute, and if there nothing else, we'll probably close it. Uh, but you guys can reach out to us at any point of time. Right? You can check us out on simplai.ai, or you can reach us out via email at support at the rate of simplai.ai. Right? And we are also dropping a form where you can actually fill your details and get access to the platform as well to experience firsthand in terms of building the applications. There are a few more questions, Utkarsh. Can it create dashboards showing the KPIs or indicators? So we can do it as Utkarsh is showing. We can have these KPIs or indicators built via the tools, right? And the agent can have access to these tools via function calling, and this can come as dashboards or charts or visualizations in terms of aggregating the data and showing it in a very precise format. Uh, there's a question from Shika. It says if we connect with data connectors as mentioned, uh, it says that if we connect with data connectors, as you mentioned, how data sync up will take place or how will the system refresh the data? What about privacy?
Okay. So regarding privacy, I think Santosh, you might already want take over this, but from a technical point of view, this entire platform is for a particular client deployed in a separate namespace, completely logically separated from any other client we have, and that's when it's on SimplAI Cloud. The platform can also be deployed within your own cloud or within your own servers if you have your own data centers on prem. So data privacy becomes sort of a no-brainer, right out the bat, and we are of course SOC 2 compliant and ISO certified as well. So we do take care of those compliances and data privacy quite seriously. Regarding data sync, I'll actually like to go into that. So we can go over this. So we can sort of control what data we bring in when we bring in. So here we have selected the schedule type as manual. Let's see some place where we have not selected schedule type as manual, or maybe create a new connection. Let's select this data set. Let's select a stream. And now we can sort of configure our data type. I've just put random stuff there. I can schedule. I want it, done all of these durations. I can also put in a cron. So instead of, having to deal with very specific formats, I actually can control when the data sync happens, how frequently it happens, and all of the other things. And of course, there's the option for manual, which allows you to do it immediately. All right. I hope that addresses your question.
Yeah. So we have another question. Can we create multimodal search engine using this or visual search?
Uh, Quite a bit, actually. So what we're going through here, with the table SQL format, or actually you might have already noticed when I was building knowledge base, we have a number of different types of data that you can work with. Face recognition being one of them, a very specialized use case of image recognition. But of course, that's part of it. There's image search capabilities that are part of even especially the table SQL format, where you sort of completely control the vectors you create. This For context, we are using Postgres for our table SQL database types, and it's Postgres with PG vector, so it supports all the types of different vectors you want to put in, all the different types of similarity and indexing logics you might want to play around with for and really any type of semantic search or image search, specialized face recognition, all of those things. And yeah, we have built systems where even processing videos, we could sort of convert them into data that is more easily be searchable. So you could even build a search around videos if needed, if wanted. So yeah, that is all supported with the platform.
So we'll just wait for another couple of minutes to see if there are any more questions.
All right.
Uh,
Seems
so
like
we have another question from Ankur. What about accuracy? How is it ensured?
what about accuracy? How is it ensured? Could you expand upon that question? I'm not really sure what you mean there, but assuming you're talking about, how do we get the, SQL right, or the system inherently is sort of takes care of it. So that's one of the benefits of, generative AI, in that one, it's on its own sort of a little bit more resilient towards certain use cases. We saw in tracing where the first example of us running the tool did not work, and the agent used the tool twice to get the answer. Then further, within the system, we have options to set up guardrails, which allow you to sort of really completely block data that you don't want to work with. Both has inputs and outputs, and that sort of gives you an option to ensure that really critical use cases don't do not break because of certain reasons. Because this is an orchestration system, you could, of course, let's say I could have set up a system where I could set up another LM call to actually review the query, and if it's not right, write the query itself, given all the information. So basically add a double check mechanism if needed. Similarly, within the agent as well, there's an option for guardrails, and we have used guardrails as well to implement reflection and other concepts to sort of boost accuracy. So there are a number of different ways to tackle accuracy when working with generative AI, and you'll find a lot of those systems and frameworks built into this platform as well.
So there are another couple of questions.
I think we discussed this at the start of the um, meeting where we sort of pride ourselves in being able to do a POC within 2 to 5 days. So I think I would give the same answer that anywhere between 2 to 5 days to get a POC to you once we have all the information we need to get started.
So there's another question around performance monitoring. Can we publish metrics like amount of time taken in providing back the response?
Oh, yes. So we have tracing, right? So it actually does take care of latencies as well as how processes are happening. So, oh, sorry. So that was what exactly was happening within it. But if I want to see just the portion about what all steps were running and how long each step took. So we can't just see how long it's taking, but also what is causing a delay if there is one. And this, of course, takes care of agents where a number of different things could be happening. But even within the agent, let's say you go to the tool and want to see, okay, this entire 6.3 seconds, in the first tool call, 4 seconds were wasted by the LLM. So that's sort of a system. It really allows you to see where time is being taken and sort of shave it to ensure you give the perfect low latency experience to your consumers.
There's another question from Dinesh. Can I also use search results to build personalized recommendations for users, or do user profiling, assuming example of a shopping website?
For sure, actually. So one of the benefits that comes, previously setting such a recommendation system would have needed very finely tuned machine learning model, but a benefit of all the embedding models that are available in the market today is that it sort of gives you an option to find similarities between users and various pieces of information we can get about a user very very quickly, and it allows you to also build recommendation engines far quicker because you don't really have to worry about building a model that converts data to a format that computers can work with. The models already exist. They understand language. They understand uh, semantics, and you can use that to find similarities between your customers, and of course, then push recommendations that work for one customer to the other.
So there's an infrastructure related question. How do you take care of scaling and burst requests to models?
Okay, so of course, somebody from the technical team would probably give a better answer from product, but our entire system is cluster based with asynchronous jobs running. Kafka is generated for each input that is received. It sort of distributes the entire workload across the system and is designed to handle millions of requests coming in suddenly as well, in burst and sustained. And of course, the entire system is both horizontally and vertically scalable. So, sustained load can be handled with scale.
There's another question from Rishi. Can't we stitch the agents in a BPMN, example, Kamuda kind of process automation workflows?
Yeah. So that sounds maybe what looking for is agents, so we didn't really go into this feature because it wasn't super relevant. But this is sort of a workflow builder way similar to what we were doing with tools, but this is conversational in nature. And this particular example I'm opening, I'm sort of using a large language model to act as a routing mechanism. The model, gets the entire conversation history and then uses that conversation history to judge whether this is a question that is best meant for one of three agents: flights, hotels, and car rentals agent. Each of the agents have their own specialty. They have really long prompts, regarding their own use cases, and it really, can allow them to handle really complex workflows related to specifically flights or hotels or car rentals in this example. And the challenge we're trying to resolve was uh, building a single agent that can handle everything to the standard that we wanted wasn't feasible. So instead, here we split it into three agents and then use this LLM as a routing decision maker. And of course, then there's this 10 lines of Python code to sort of put all the answers together, convert them into a structure we wanted, and then push it as the output. So yeah, we can. I hope if that was that answers your question.
Yeah. So again, let's wait for a minute to see if there are more questions coming in. Otherwise, we can close down the webinar. Let's give a couple of minutes. So I think there's a question somewhere down the line in terms of the evaluation and metrics. Is there something in terms of can we see an agent response and evaluate the response?
Yeah, sure. So we do have a evaluation suite built in. This uses Raga's framework to uh, sort of go over whether a particular prompt and context combination was ideal to actually get us the answer. We see the metrics mentioned here. We actually did not set. Okay, we did put in a ground truth, which dealt with the answer relevancy, and we have all of these metrics available. So yeah, we do have a evaluation suite, and we're actually bringing a big update to this evaluation suite, early December. So yeah, stay tuned for that.
So I think that's it in terms of the questions. Thanks, Utkarsh, for running us through the agent building session, and thanks everyone for joining us today. And you can reach out if you have more questions to us over the website or over the email, which is support at the rate of simplai.ai. And there's also a form we have floated, so you can fill it up and get access to the platform and start exploring it as well. Right. And we will be doing more webinars going forward and hope to see you soon again there as well. Right. Thanks, guys. Have a great day ahead.
Thanks everyone. Thank you.